Hello and welcome back to the Weekly Shonen Jump Review. Each week I read Weekly Shonen Jump and give my review of the chapters. As a reminder of my format, I will give a brief summary of the chapter, then I will give my thoughts on the chapter, and then at the end I will give an overall ranking as if I am turning in the surveys. I don't cover all of the series in this review as I have already dropped some of these series, but for the series that I do read and cover, there will be spoilers, so you have been warned. The giant children and parents' guardians have been dropped off safely, but not far enough from the Thorn Celestial Dragon bastard, who immediately tries to finish off the adults and keep true to his overall mission. The kids jump in to protect the adults, but are themselves saved by Zoro jumping in to save them all. Then Luffy in Nika form smashes Thorn Dude in the face, and all the thorns fall away from everybody. Oh, also Sanji had saved Robin before, and apparently heat is something that the thorns are weak against, which is going to be important for future fights, I'm sure. Then Loki's fruit is revealed to be an ancient dragon zone fruit, the Need-Hoger model. Haven't looked up how to say that, but I assume it's probably something like that, which has a bunch of crazy properties, including changing the size of the dragon that is created by it based on who eats it. He destroys all of the nightmare creatures that were created, and Mu recognizes the dragon menacingly at the end. I am very happy that Oda got the break before this chapter because there was an incredible amount of these huge 2-page spreads throughout the chapter. Those were incredible enough from an art perspective, but the character and story payoffs that happen in this chapter were also great in and of themselves. I'm glad that the Thorn guy got his face punched in, but we will have to see if he ends up coming back due to the invulnerability, and if there is something that Luffy and or Loki can do now because of this invulnerability and how they're going to deal with it. Really great chapter. Really enjoyed having One Piece back. Kagurabachi is also back, and it appears that we have a prequel arc on the way. After purposefully confusing us for a while, it appears that we have gone back into the past to check out the origin of the Datenseki, the material that was used to make the magic swords, and the creation of the magic swords themselves. We also get a bunch of otherworldly type lore that I'm not really sure how it fits in with everything that happens in the future. Maybe it was part of the cause of what the war was fighting with, was these like alien things. I forget if that was what was mentioned, but anyway, that was kind of interesting. Basically, 2 islands popped up off of the coast of Japan, one of which is inhabited, though the Japanese government is covering up that fact by saying that it's uninhabited, and it is surrounded by some kind of force field, so they can't really even get information about it anyway. And another small island popped up that had a vein of this Datenseki, which I believe is where they got all this from anyway. We then end the chapter with a glimpse of Chihiro's dad, looking a lot like Chihiro. Interesting call to go for the prequel arc as the next arc for this series. Learning more about this war, I think, will be nice because, you know, it's kind of been floated out there, some of the things that happened during this war and how they've had a very big impact on the current dynamic and situations. I'm definitely curious about what those like weird alien type things were, though. Like, they're probably like, are they human? Maybe, but it definitely is like the way that they're talking about them is like, these are aliens. I think it's an interesting choice to go down this route of going back in the prequel and like definitely hyping up that like this is going to be going on for a while. It would be surprising if it just sort of ended really quickly, just given that the quote-unquote first arc took 112 chapters, and so this one, is it also going to take 100 chapters? I feel like I'd almost be reading a different series at that point, but maybe that's what they're going for. Oh boy, the hype is building. This chapter started off as a bit of a slow burn with Akane and Kaisai chatting as they are about to enter the ballroom of the yacht. Akane, funnily enough, is treating this exactly as a shonen protagonist would and should, but it's not that serious, so there's not going to be this huge standoff confrontation between the two of them. Then Isho appears, and we get to see our first true taste of the magnetism of Isho, as every one of the patrons on the boat and at the party generally are drawn to him and just can't take their eyes off of him, watching his every move. We also learn the full slate of the Ishokai, I think for the first time, but not sure, which includes other festivities, but the most important of the festivities are the God of Death duel and Isho's own performance of his specialty, which will be done later in the day that day. And this performance is the reason why everybody is on this boat, which is interesting, as you basically like the headliner before it, everybody's like, I don't really care about what's going on right now, just like get to the good stuff. However, rather than dampen Akane's spirits, because of the audience being indifferent, this is actually something that psychs Akane up, and she is finally able to pit herself directly against Isho and attempt to upstage him at his own event, doing the thing that is apparently his, signature thing, his signature story, whatever that is. This was a fantastic chapter where we finally get to see some of what Isho can do, and what he sort of gives off is why he's this really popular Rakugo artist, because all we've seen of him this time up to this point is him just aura farming and being a villain, and it's making me really excited for this event to come. This is everything I love about Akane-Banashi, and it's a fun chapter that's hyping up this thing as if we're getting into like this final fight of a martial arts tournament. And it's like, no, it's just some people doing some shows on stage, and it's a good fun. Chrono Weaver is granted 45 seconds of life to say his final goodbyes to Minerva, which were just so hard to read. I mean, it's just, so many feels. But he also gives her a name for their child, which is Madoka. I suppose that he was so spent that even if he told Minnie how to do his trial, that he just wouldn't be captured, or maybe it wouldn't have mattered in the time that was left, because, we were never really told what his trial was. Maybe his trial had something to do with time, because, he's the time magic, so maybe it was like do something for 24 hours or something, and it just, obviously you couldn't do that in 45 seconds. Next, Octobomb realizes that feelings are really, a thing, and you can't completely suppress them no matter how hard you try. The waiter magic then appears out of nowhere and stabs him, because, pity and feelings are for losers. But even he can't be a villain for too long, because the most beautiful, bestest, greatest witch ever, Descartes, is back. She pops up and then stabs him right in the face. She's back. And she's okay. And it's great. And everything is awesome. Oh, she is so pissed. Things are going to get really good. Let's see where it goes from here. But I enjoyed, from pillar to post, I enjoyed this chapter. And it was a roller coaster of emotions, but in the best way possible. It looks like a fight is about to break out when Shikimi suddenly appears to break it up. However, it is not actually Shikimi, but Nemu, who has taught herself the ability to copy someone using her imagination, and not in the same style of her mother, which is basically she touches somebody and then is able to completely replicate them from that point. But her disguise is effective enough to hoodwink the warlock into handing over his bone box to Nemu, aka Shikimi. So that means that the plan went surprisingly well. Maybe too well. I don't like how well that went. I don't think does this mean that something really bad is going to happen? I kind of feel not great about what's going on, but I hope not. Let's just say it all went well. It's all good. Either way, super happy for Nemu for this growth. She really deserved it. We have finished with the double dates to end all double dates and are back to normal life. The rest of the badminton tournament is done off screen. Whoops, sorry. I guess this isn't a sports manga anymore. Taiki made it to the final four, but it was ultimately won by Yusa, who we find out at the end of the chapter was playing the whole tournament injured after his match with Hyodo, who he was able to beat in straight sets. So, he's the current new beast of badminton, the big top of the mountain guy. He's the best there is out there. He can't be contained, but Taiki is still setting his sights as high as he can, including beating him. And I guess, they kind of had to do this because Hyodo wasn't in school anymore, so he can't be the big bad at the end of the tournament because, he's not in school anymore. So you have to get somebody who is in school so Taiki can beat him. So, makes sense. Also, Chinatsu is just the best supportive girlfriend you could ever have, and they have some cute doki doki moments before some ominous whispers are made above their heads towards the end of the chapter. This was a really good chapter with a lot of fun moments. But we have finally reached a non-first place chapter for Blue Box. Great run, 3 in a row. Well done, Sensei. The double date chapters were some of my favorite chapters I've ever read for this series. And I still love Blue Box. We're back up in the good graces with Blue Box. And you can bring Hina back. Just don't put her anywhere near Taiki. Just let her do her thing over there. Maybe get involved with the little Yusa brother. That'd be fine. But another good chapter from Blue Box. The fight in the Uzen mansion is continuing, and Hibari is able to hold her own against the Porcupine Girl from Squad 7 because she can't give her all in a fight against someone that she likes. This, however, is exactly the justification that the Uzen family head needs to take her out, and he activates his Kekai to join the fight. He's confident he can clear out Squad 9, and Yodaka is left facing some trouble in the Netherhold as he can't keep up the illusion for too much longer that he isn't an intruder. This is another good chapter with great art again. I really like the fighting in this series, and it just keeps interesting me as it goes. It's really, really good. I've been enjoying going through this mission and this whole arc that we've been on to this point. I think it's been quite good. Guys, I promise I'm not bad at reading comprehension. I don't think I am, but this series is really trying to gaslight me or something to make me think that I'm just bad at reading things because everything that I think has happened hasn't happened. Okay, so Maru, he did his curse technique. That has confirmed the destruction of cursed energy, but also the cursed spirits, this has done a myriad of things all over the galaxy, apparently, including destroying Maharaga or stopping his thingy, whatever, his little trial-y thing, and getting rid of the curse on Dabura. That I don't know if we knew about, maybe we did, which allowed him to do a little quick coup d'etat, his little side mission on the Sumerian world and just take everything over for a few minutes. It's a side quest that apparently he can just, become king of the world because, he can. But hey, I can't keep going before saying literally everyone is alive. Yes, even the girl that had terminal brain cancer is alive. It just turns out that the cancer, I guess, was caused by cursed energy. So, she's fine. She's good, even though she was literally on her deathbed and was in this state of I am basically dead, not alive and not dead until this Maharaga thing is over. But oh nope, I'm good. I'm fine. Cross also survived getting shot, so he's fine. Tsumugi also has no injury from getting big old slash up the side, so, he's good. Okay. Cross and Maru go back to the Sumerian UN to decide what to do with the Kallians now that apparently they could eat later Kallians or Sumerians or something because of the changing of the soul colors. And then Yuji runs into Panda again. This is like anti-Jujutsu Kaisen ending. No one dies. All of the fights suddenly end with no crazy conclusion and no crazy fight and no crazy powers. Everybody just kind of stops and is all right, we're good. I don't even know how to feel anymore about this. I know this is technically... I remember, months ago when I was please let this thing have an ending that isn't everyone, this awful conclusion. So I guess it's what I wanted, but what are we even doing here? What is this series even for? What was the point of any of this, of the stakes, of all these characters and maybe these characters are in danger or jeopardy? Nope. Not at all. No consequences. Even the people who were dying for non-plot related reasons are just, they're good. It's like you just rug pulled an entire series. I mean, what am I supposed to do with this? It's not for me, guys. I mean, like this. The crazy thing to me is that this series, if you go by the app that I read it in, which is the Manga Plus app, it is the most popular series in that entire app right now, basically. I mean, it may be close to like Chainsaw Man or Dandadan, but I think it's the most popular one in the entire app, not counting One Piece. I mean, One Piece is its own thing. But like, I'm just really confused what is making this series as popular as it is. Like, I know it's Jujutsu Kaisen, but like, I'm just not getting it. Like, is this a me problem? Like, am I just not getting what's good about this story, or is everybody else just on board that like, yeah, this is awesome? Because it's not for me. Like, it's fine. It's got good art, and the fighting was good a few chapters ago. Like, yeah, I mean, I like that, and you know, it's expanding the world. I'll give it that. It's bringing in a bunch of other things and putting in some interesting ideas, but like, it's not stitching them in a way that I find just pleasing as a reader to read. Like that, this is the problem. I don't find Jujutsu Kaisen pleasing to read. It's like things are happening. That looks cool. I get to a page and I'm like, oh wow, that looks really cool. That's really well done. But like, I can't compare it to like, when I read something like Akane-Banashi or when I read One Piece, I'm like, oh, I'm enjoying this. I'm reading this through and I'm enjoying what's happening. When I read Jujutsu Kaisen, I don't feel that way. I don't. Even when it's doing something that I would ostensibly like, which is not killing off your main characters and not focusing entirely on like being cool for being cool's sake, that's something I can normally get behind. But I don't know. Like, I don't know what it is. Like, and I'm sorry I keep belaboring this point, but this is one of the most popular mangas in Japan right now, or at least in this in this app right now. And I don't get it. I just don't. Summer break is starting for our two radio otaku dorks, and this week the prompt was, what would a carefree weather person be like? And the next week's prompt is, wow, this restaurant is run by a child. Why? And the whole chapter is Mizuo and Mime spending time at a restaurant because they are caught in a thunderstorm. Also, it makes sense for the next week's prompt. You know, they're doing their research. Then, when they leave, they are greeted by a beautiful rainbow, and they agree that they are going to keep seeing each other over the summer break, which was adorable. There was also another cute moment earlier in the chapter when Mime tried to improvise a line during his end-of-year speech, and Mizuo kind of, called him out on it. I wonder how these one-liners are being changed over to English, because I felt that some of the ones this week were a bit more of a stretch. It was still a cute chapter, though. Kiyoshi is awake, and he is back to full and complete power thanks to everyone's spirit bomb energy. Hitsugi and Gaga are still fighting, and let me just sum up this fight for all of you. How about this? Ha! That was nothing. What about this? Oh, I thought about that, but what about this? Oh, but I have this power, so that won't affect me, but then what about this? It was getting ridiculous after a while. It was like we were in this automatically trap card activating stage of the fight where just everything that the character did was like, oh, this activates my trap card. Oh, you activated my trap card. Oh, you activated my trap card. And that just kept going for a while of them just being like, oh, this is nothing. And it was getting kind of annoying. Anyway, Kiyoshi was going to help Shishido with Bobo because Hitsugi still got a full deck of trap cards, so he's going to be fine. He doesn't need to worry about Hitsugi. He's got plenty of cards still left to play. He believes in the heart of the cards. That's all good. I was getting a little tired of all the like, whoops, haha, that did nothing in this chapter, since it was doing it literally page after page after page after page. Hopefully the fight takes on a different flavor going forward, because otherwise it's going to get old really fast. We are back to Kanai this week, and we see how she reacts to the photo of Himari and Iomori. In a word, not well. She mopes on the swings, but the best wing girl Mayu is here to pick her up out of the dumps and get her back up on her feet and into the game. We also see the reaction of all of the gang's school classmates, which are predictable, but Iamori and Kanai get to have their conversation, and you know what? They actually have it. There are no misunderstandings, all of their feelings get across, and everything is right as rain. It's things like this which are why and what make me like this series, because it's just like they actually just had a conversation like real people and didn't have all of those stupid misunderstandings that you can sometimes get in rom-coms where like nobody talks like this. Nobody has these misunderstandings. They're just, making all this crap for, reasons because you want to stretch out the plot. But then right at the end, Kanai throws out that she will be telling Iamori that she likes him. But wait a minute, look up at that tiny panel up in the corner there where she says she's going to wait a month to do it, just like he is. Oh man, I love this idea of the Battle Royale for the boy, but this just feels stupid. Like, why are they waiting for no reason at all? She's just like, oh, I'm going to tell him that I like him, but in a month. Because the weather's nice today, so that means it's the right decision. Like, what are you talking about, girl? Just do it. Just do it. He likes you too. You could end this. You could end this right now. And you could be like, screw Hima-Ten, this is Kanai-Ten. Bam. End of story. But no, this needs to be Hima-Ten. Himari needs to have a chance over the next month to convince the boy that Kanai is just, whatever. Not for you anymore, even though she likes you too. And if you guys both just did this now, you would date. And then, yeah, that is kind of stupid. I enjoyed the chapter, but I was like, oh my God, really? All right, everybody gather round for a lore chapter. We learn about the big war that happened, sure, but we learned about a mage that killed Osoegawa's father, and now he has to go get some revenge. Forget that gather up the mages plot that we had for this whole series. We don't need that anymore. Now we're going right into making a villain, making a big old bad and going to get him. So, bit of a sharp little turn to the story there. Hopefully for the best. The art is a lot better this chapter. It's still slightly stiff, but I can pass that off because it just, as a general case has gotten better. It will hopefully be an interesting place where this story goes. I don't want it to just be too much of like a bog standard story because it kind of feels like that's where it's going. It kind of feels like it's clutching for a good idea. Like whatever good idea that it had or was going to try with this series, it's lost it, and it's just kind of like we're clutching at straws here. Maybe this will help. Maybe it'll work it out, but it's just, it feels a little directionless. Haiji and the formerly mute assassin decide to go to the grandpa father figure person to try to heal him using the money that Haiji gave the assassin from his cut of the job. However, the Grim Reaper, as he used to be known, is truly on his deathbed such that nothing will be able to save him. But Haiji can allow him to see the mute assassin one last time before he passes away using his magic fingers to release the pressure on the optic nerve. Happy to see that Haiji is not some like crazy magician god figure who can make anyone live no matter what the problem, and that there will be some level of realism with the series. I know what I'm talking about, like realism. Yeah, what's real with a guy who can literally beat people by like poking them in various places. I get that, but like there is some level of like grounded in reality sort of thing. It was a nice conclusion to the chapter. I wonder if some of these other characters will be recurring characters going forward, and I do wonder if there's going to be like a meta narrative or mega narrative that we're going to be working towards, or if it's going to be like a more of an episodic thing. Which again, episodic is fine as long as you keep being able to introduce good characters that I want to read more and are interesting. So this week the mission ends, and it seems like the scrolls for missions have sentience to determine when a mission is over, which is an interesting concept. I don't really know if I've seen that. Anyway, Kaminagi turns out to not be into ladies, but into role play generally. And she's now interested in switching up the roles that she's going to play, and this time around she wants to be a princess. Plus, the rest of the gang are up to wacky hijinks, and there are even more members that we are going to meet. One is the leader of a big gang of street thugs who are the heart of gold kind of street thugs, and then there's a big lady who can carry a lot of stuff. So it's just like the character from Cleavitas, basically. Anyway, I liked the design for the delinquent leader guy. I really liked how he looked. We're getting a lot of stuff thrown at us with this series, and I'm still digging it, but I am ready to have a train leave the station soon, just because it's a lot. It's a lot, and there's a lot of really big personalities, and they need time to breathe. Because if you don't give them time to breathe, then we don't have time to breathe, and then we suffocate and die. The fight ain't over, even after the first alien headbutt, and Shirokiba looks like he is on the ropes because his enemy is bigger and stronger than him, but that does not mean that the fight is hopeless. No, sir. Instead, Shirokiba just needs to run to the ropes to prep his ultimate finishing move, something he calls the Avalanche Brain Buster, which is basically throwing the alien off the roof. Yeah, just lean right into that wrestling stuff. That's what I'm looking for. Fun way to end the chapter. And that is it for this week. Rankings are coming up above my head now. Everybody is back. Well, except for Sakamoto Days, and honestly, thank God, because that series needed a break. Anyway, this magazine is a little top-heavy in my opinion, and what I mean by that is that there is a very clear drop-off for me in the quality of the chapters once you get around Witch Watch. Nothing that I read was bad by any means, but it is clear where the good chapters ended up stopping for me this week. Anyway, definitely looking forward to some of the things that have been set up in this week's magazine and where, we're going to keep going as we move along. That is it for me. Thank you all for watching this video, and I hope to see you in the next one.